Capital Wealth Counsel is an authorized financial service provider. For all your financial needs, please contact us at www.capitalwealthcounsel.co.za.
Good morning, my people. Welcome back to Capital Wealth Counsel. Yeah, it's about that time that we come back with a new video or new info tips to help you manage your finances, your insurance, your investments, and risk in general, just to make sure that you're well informed and well protected. For those that are new to the channel, my name is Edward Banda. I'm a certified financial planner at Capital Wealth Counsel, also a member of the Financial Planning Institute of Southern Africa. If it's your first time here, these videos are just meant to share info tips around financial planning, risk management, wealth creation, personal finance, asset protection, and just insurance in general. Also note that the conversation we have or share on these videos do not constitute financial advice, but just literally info tips to provide guidance on maybe topics that you might be unfamiliar of, and to also create awareness as well as financial literacy to our clients and society in general. We almost fast approaching the end of a year. I mean, I can't believe it's already November, almost December, and I know that most, if not all, medical aid or medical schemes in South Africa would normally change their premiums or contributions effective the first of the year. So if you are a member of a medical aid, you probably may have received that notification. It's not always a welcome one because obviously the cost of healthcare in South Africa is substantially expensive. And I thought, it's these times of the year where we see members that cannot afford their premiums to either downgrade or look for alternative options. And I thought maybe it's a good time to just maybe shed some light and discuss maybe the difference between a medical aid versus health insurance, and just to share everything you need to know. I mean, there's a lot of health insurance products in the market that are mushrooming, and some people get a rude awakening if they do not understand the terms of cover and what benefits are available. When it's time to actually consult, you'd find that there are limits that get offered. Therefore, I thought, let me have a conversation around that just to give you folks some info tips. Welcome again back to Capital Wealth Counsel. Like I said, I mean, medical aid usually very expensive. I mean, these days, even just a minor operation could force you into digging into your long-term savings, if at all you do have savings. And the cost of hospital stays, specialist fees, and other medical expenses makes it important to have at least some form of cover, like I said in the beginning. If you can't afford medical aid, I think there are alternatives in health insurance, though they do not provide the comprehensive benefit, but you rather have some form of cover and not have whatsoever. So the question I'm asking today is, should you consider a medical aid or a health insurance? Predominantly, I think that speaks more to budget than anything else. These terms are often interchangeably, or in fact, there is a significant difference. And I've had clients that will always insist, no, they've got this health insurance from this so-and-so company, way cheap, $400 a month, and they were being ripped off by their medical aid. So it's always important to understand the difference and what gets covered in there. So yeah, this video pretty much aims to share info tips around that, just to make sure that you folks are able to make the right choices for yourself and your family. And just to get into the key differences, I mean, like a medical aid would normally focus, or what you call a medical scheme, would focus on providing its members with cover for expenses associated with the necessary medical treatment. So, for example, if you're admitted in hospital, they'll have to pay that full bill. provided obviously if you're part of the network hospital or not network, they will pay directly to the hospital institution, whereas a health insurance is designed to ensure that when you need funds for healthcare or healthcare treatment, they provide you with those funds. And over the past, we've seen a lot of new healthcare products being introduced in the market. I think the traditional old ones, the first ones would normally, you used to pay like a rand value. So they'll tell you, for example, for every day that you spend in hospital with a minimum of 2 night stay, will pay you 1,000 rand. Those particular health insurance products will then pay you that lump sum that you would have accumulated for the nights you've stayed in hospital back, meaning you have the responsibility to pay the hospital, and then they reimburse you. So it's almost like a thank you for staying in hospital. And then recently we've seen health insurance products that will then now include cover for when you're admitted in hospital, or let's say if you were to be involved in an accident or in a trauma event. We've seen a lot of healthcare insurance products that will then provide. There's one provider that actually provides for unlimited cover whilst you're admitted in hospital, provided the event of admission was due to an accident or a trauma event. Then there is a different provider that would say, for every time you're admitted in hospital due to an accident, we're not going to cover for unlimited expenses. We'll limit the total cost per event to, say, maybe majority of them start from 380,000 rand or 400,000 per event, so per accident event or trauma event, and limited to maybe 1 million rand or 1.5 million rand per annum on that particular policy, so depending on the cost. So therefore, the per event element simply means if the total cost of treating you whilst you're being treated for that accident event, if you exceed the limit of 380 or 400, then it means that the difference will be for your own pocket. Whereas your medical aid or medical scheme has no limits and cover 100% of the total cost in hospital. And the difference then being your health insurance focuses or can only entertain a claim if the event is due to an accident or a trauma event. Whereas your medical scheme will cover you, be it accident or natural causes. You could just fall ill, have a stroke, or whatever the case may be, and your medical aid will provide full coverage. So the key word here and the differentiator is the event due to an accident or out of a natural cause. However, I mean, if you can't afford a medical aid, then you're better off having some form of cover that will provide you with a solution if you were to be involved in an accident. And I think it's always important to just try and differentiate because majority of the time we see people throw the toys in the air. They go to social media and vent about how insurance is a scam and they were never covered, or insurance failed to provide the benefit that they advertised. But you must take note that, I mean, almost every insurance contract that you'd sign, they'll send you a policy documents with terms and conditions. And typically in these terms and conditions, you'll probably find that page 1 or 2 always has a list of definitions where they're defining these conditions. So therefore, if your event or your medical situation falls out of that, does not meet that definition, you're likely not to have a claim entertained. So I thought maybe let me just explain or maybe read out the full definition of these particular definitions, especially in particular when it comes to your health insurance products that specifically cover you for accident and trauma. And I think I'm just going to put crib notes or text notes onto the video, just of the definition, but let's just go through it in the meantime. If your span of concentration is good, effectively, majority of them, if you read the policy wording, there's always a definition. What is an accident? According to their definition, an accident is an unfortunate incident that happens unexpectedly and unintentionally, resulting in damage or injury. So therefore, if you're suffering from, let's say, high blood pressure, and you eventually suffer a stroke because you failed to manage your high blood pressure condition, that event is not regarded as an accident, even if you would have collapsed in your lounge. So very important to note these definitions. Second definition of importance when it comes to understanding your health insurance product is an emergency. What is an emergency? An emergency is a sudden, serious, and dangerous event or situation which needs immediate action to deal with. They further go to say, define further, what is an emergency medical treatment? An emergency medical treatment is an urgent and short-term, not longer than 90 days, remedial medical treatment that is required due to an emergency medical condition. Emergency medical treatment will be provided up to a maximum of 90 days, calculated from the date of the accident and trauma event, provided that the trauma and the services are directly related to the accident and trauma event. Again, your emergency medical treatment cannot last for more than 90 days, meaning your health insurance product, should you be admitted in hospital for more than 90 days, they are likely to stop paying that medical bill for the provider that gives unlimited benefit, whereas the other providers would tell you, we stop indemnifying you when you exceeded the limit for that particular accident event. And these are some of the T's and C's that one needs to be mindful of, just to make sure that you do not step out of terms of your insurance contract, and you get value for the premium that you're paying. And the limits that are covered in these products would clearly show in the charges that these particular providers would offer for you to pay in form of a premium. When it comes to regulation, I mean, both are regulated products. I mean, in South Africa, medical aids are regulated by the Medical Scheme Act, so enacted in Parliament and governed by the Council of Medical Schemes, meaning all the medical schemes would normally follow a similar pattern of rules where they have to provide prescribed minimum benefits, cover for chronic illness, and full coverage for admission in hospitals. And some plans will then have day-to-day benefits that will provide for your doctor visits and medication over the counter. I actually had one client event where the client went into casualty because their child fell ill suddenly. Little did they know that if they did not spend the night in hospital, that casualty visit, as much as they had medical aid, was being covered from their day-to-day expenses. So if your medical savings was depleted, you end up actually footing that bill out of your own pocket. And it's those little events where a lack of understanding of product and T's and C's would actually get me and you very, very upset, considering the premium that you'd be paying for these services. Just back to regulation, your health insurance, on the other hand, is regulated by the Long-Term Insurance Act. So the same act that governs your life insurance products, your disability. So it's in the same category, and this is governed by the Financial Sector Conduct Authority. So there is regulation. That's why you'd find every provider will provide you with these T's and C's. And if your conditions fall out of the definition, you can vent as much as you want. No one is coming to save you, because then if you had accepted that contract, it means you also accept the terms and conditions of the cover, and they would assume you understand what an accident or a trauma event is and the limits that they will then provide. From a tax perspective, your medical aid contributions are tax deductible. It's called a medical aid tax credit. This year, I think you can deduct 364 Rand per month per person, per main member. But what the SARS does is that the first two members are allowed to deduct 364, so maybe husband and wife. So you can deduct 728 Rand from your taxable income, and for every additional dependent, 246 Rand. So for a family of three, you probably would be able to deduct up to 1,000 Rand of your medical aid contribution. So if you, in a nutshell, if you, with careful financial planning and tax consideration, you will find that your premium is not as high as it seems if you take into account the tax rebates and the relief that the Revenue Authority offers, whereas on your health insurance there is no tax deductions whatsoever. And then, like I said in the beginning, if you're a member of a medical scheme and you're hospitalized, the total cost of treatment will be paid directly to the hospital. For health insurance, there are plans that would pay the money to you and you sort out your hospital bill, whereas the other new products in the market will offer unlimited cover or up to a certain limit if you use their network providers. And then just to maybe shed a little bit of light from a cost perspective, I mean, just example of how much would a typical hospital stay cost you. This information would differ from one hospital facility to the other, but in general, in a general ward, a hospital cost would cost you maybe even around as high as 4,000 Rand per night, though I've seen some hospitals who charge maybe just between 2,000 and 3,000 Rand per night. It depends again on the hospital facility you're using. This is in a general ward, in a private facility. Let's say roughly about 4 grand a night. And if you escalate or move into a private ward, this price could go up to 4,900, 5 grand a night. So it's almost like a hotel stay. If you come to think of it, it's almost like a 5-star hotel stay. Emergency stay in intensive care unit, ICU, approximately 16,800 Rand per night. And if it's specialized ICU, the cost could jump to about 19,000, 20,000 Rand a night. Even a simple operation like an appendectomy requires 1 to 2 nights recuperation, so you can go in the morning, have the operation, but because maybe you need care within the hospital facility, they'll then ask you to stay a night or two whilst they observe you and you're recovering, and that could already set you off 10 grand before you even look at the cost of the actual operation. And most cases or procedures will require the specialist to do some diagnostic scans. I mean, these will start from around 4,000 Rand upwards. There are surgical procedures that are very common, like a laparoscopy, around 32,400. If you're giving birth via cesarean section, you're looking between 28,000 upwards. Excuse me. A hip replacement around 66,000 Rand. An eye cataract removal, 19, 20 grand, 20,000 upwards. I mean, so just to add these scenarios together, I mean, just to give you a ballpark figure, what it would cost you if you had to stay in a private hospital for 2 nights in this regard, in this example. If we take private ward, 4,900 times 2 nights, so we're already looking just under 10 grand, a 4,000 Rand diagnostic scan, and maybe you're in for a laparoscopy, which will set you off another 32,400. You're looking at total cost about 46,200. We're not even talking about other medications that they might induce if you have to go through anesthesia and the like. All those costs will increase. So literally 50 grand is easily spent 2 nights stay in a hospital. Therefore, very important to have some form of cover. If you can afford medical aid, maybe consider health insurance until you're financially able to even upgrade to a medical aid. And I did mention in the beginning that your health insurance, there are providers that would offer unlimited cover. Again, others would then offer limits. And within these health insurance products, we now see other providers that would now allow you to add a little bit of day-to-day benefits, where they will cover you for a doctor visit, a specialist, dentist, and maybe provide a list of chronic medications. Others will start from as little as 7 types of illnesses that they'll provide medication on a monthly basis for diabetes, high blood pressure, asthma, and the like. So you do get some good value from some of these providers. Others will limit you to only consult with a nurse, but if the condition is severe and the nurse refers you to a GP within their network, you will still get coverage, as opposed to you paying 5, 6, 700 bucks a month every time you go see a GP. These products will start as little as 460 rand, maybe for the main member, and 460, 450 for the spouse, maybe 300 odd for the child. So you're looking at a family of 3, husband, wife, and 1 child, about 1,200 rand. You can have this medical insurance product, which includes the accident benefit should you be involved in an accident and require stabilization in a private facility, inclusive of transportation, or private ambulances. Half of the time, if you're not on medical aid, the private ambulances could decline to actually transport you to the hospital facility. Instead, they'll then call a government ambulance, which could take time. And if you really desperately need help to save your life, it's always important to have some of these products. Some products will start for as little as 350 rand if you're only more concerned about access to a private hospital in the event of that accident. And I think a little bit of care is better than no care whatsoever. Therefore, I think it's high time, or it's the best time to actually, for us folks to start looking into this, especially maybe moving into the new year or even the festive season around the corner. You may be traveling with your family. We know in South Africa the rate of accidents and fatalities significantly increases during the festive season because a lot of people are on the roads. There's a lot of excitement in the air. So I always encourage that, you start planning ahead, for these days. But again, once you get used to this expenditure in your budget, it becomes habitual for you to have this element of risk protection within your portfolio, just to make sure that, you've got the help whenever you need it. And to think of it, we've seen the world changing these days. A lot of young people are becoming wealthy at a very, very young age. And the best you can do is to try and make sure that you've got healthcare protection in place so you can live longer and enjoy your money for longer. And when that unforeseen event were to occur, you've got the right help. Let me leave it here. I thought let me just share info tips. It's been a while since we had a chat. Thank you for watching Capital Wealth Counsel. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And follow us on all social media platforms. On TikTok, it's Capital Wealth Counsel. YouTube, also Capital Wealth Counsel. Or visit our website, www.capitalwealthcounsel.co.za, where you can actually access all these videos that we're uploading and additional info tips. Or if you do need to book a consultation with one of our certified financial planners, reach out so we can have that conversation, maybe over a cup of coffee, and try and protect the wealth that you're working hard building on. I'll see you in the next video, and thank you for your time. Thank you for watching. Peace, and enjoy the rest of the week.